Good morning, students. Here I have come here to tell you about the last lesson. It is the third video. This lesson is written by Alphonse Daudet, who is a French writer, and in this video I will tell you about how did M. Hamel engage the children in some work so that he could not teach, and how the parents engaged themselves that they could earn some money. But before that, I will tell you something. What are that? You must know. Here it is the lesson. It is the vocabulary that you must know. Vocabulary is first one is dread. Dread means awe or fear. Drill means training soldiers for military discipline. Tempting, it means enticing. Fourth one, participles. Verbal adjectives which qualify a noun. Draft, conscription, a written legal order that comes from the government. Apprentice, what is the meaning of apprentice? A young person under the training of a skill needed for a job. Bustle, commotion, disturbance, noise, you can say. Commotion means great disturbance. Here, that is the thing. Riches, mean person. Here, persons who are base. Angelus, prayer at midday. Trumpet, wind instrument with long bent tubes, that is just used for making loud noise or welcome sounds. Here you have to learn how M. Hamel went for fishing, and he wanted to give his children a very pleasant holiday because the children used to feel so relaxed, so happy without learning the lessons, as he wanted to go for fishing. Who is this man? M. Hamel. Actually, he wanted to accompany his friend. That's why he could go for just fishing in the sea. When M. Hamel did not want to teach in the school, he asked the children to water the plants, and that he did. Here, children really did this work so carefully, so nicely, that he felt relaxed. So in this way, he blames himself for not imparting the lessons to the children who were interested in doing some other kinds of jobs. Children were learning the lessons, they were trying to do everything they were learning, and only there was silence. It was pin drop silence. Only the scratches of the pins were heard. Nothing could be heard. Only the sound of the sister who was just trying to manage the things, prepare the things that was upstairs, she could do for the best of going from that very school where M. Hamel had spent 40 years. That was heard. But in the class, there was no noise, no commotion, no disturbance at all. So here it was the thing. On the roof, the pigeons hoot very low, and Franz thinks to himself whether the Germans would make these pigeons sing in German, whether these birds would learn how to speak or sing in German, it was most impossible thing. So he saw M. sitting in chair motionless. Here now he was gazing fast at one thing, then at another. He was so emotional. He was so sentimental at the time. His eyes were just fixed at all these things. He was looking at the windows and all those things in front of him. M. Hamel was looking at the windows, benches, desks, and all those walnut trees in the garden and the vineyard that were growing there. It was the condition that how sad he was looking at all those things where he had spent his 40 years. His heart was broken to leave. He could hear his sister's voice, who was at the top of the house. This was the consequence of the Franco-Prussian War that was so disastrous, in which so many people had been killed and the soldiers were killed and the Prussians were the winners. They were the victorious ones, in which something more had been lost by Alsace and Lorraine. Now it was the lesson that was about history. Then the babies chanted their alphabet: ba, be, bi, bo, boo. It was the Hodger. It was the old Hodger who had put on his spectacles on, holding his primer in both hands, spelled the letters with them. He did not know how to spell the words. He did not know how to just learn these lessons. So you could see he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion. And it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. Franz says like this, means now M. Hamel was really crying. Why was M. Hamel crying? Because he was just so emotional, so sentimental that it was his last lesson. He had affinity for this school. He had affinity for teaching. He had love for the children who did not have learned anything in French. He wanted to teach them. He knew that since tomorrow no one will be taught French, so he wanted to give them all the ideas, all the knowledge of French, that they could just keep it with themselves so that they could not be enslaved so long as the Germans wished. It was the time of Angelus. What is Angelus? Angelus is the ringing of bell in the church at midday or at the time of prayer. People in the church ring the bell. That is called Angelus. Here you can see the people ringing the bell in the school or in the churches, that you can understand. People just gather in the church and they go for ringing the bells. Really, it is one of the most important moment of life when they just concentrate their ideas and communicate with Jesus Lord. And so it was. Now he was very sad. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussians who were returning, means the soldiers. It is the Angelus. Every Christian goes to church for prayer and they pray to God. It was a time when the soldiers of Germany were returning after the drill and they were really so sad. Now it was time to depart. It was a time when they had to depart from the class. As well as Hamel was also very sentimental at this moment to take a decision that he had not to take the class anymore, but he was overwhelmed with the ideas that he had spent his 40 years and now he had to say something, but he was so emotional that he could not speak. Hamel goes straight to the board and he could not speak a single word and his voice were choked. It was the blackboard where he wrote Vive la France. Vive la France means live long France. He wished and he said that the class is dismissed. The school is dismissed. Here the first word that school is dismissed he had to say with such heavy mind and heart that he had never thought that it would come so early in his life. So children, what would happen when one should always try to realize it, try to understand it so that you can feel the importance of language. So I have told you everything in this lesson that are to be taught, and you can write all the questions answers if you watch it so that you can do everything. It is already uploaded. Thank you children again.